Hey, it's Juanita here. You're listening to Unboxed because behind the scenes is the real story. I hope you're well and been staying safe. This voice note, I wanted to talk to you about assertiveness versus rudeness, and how at times Black women's clarity can be misinterpreted. Now, I am now apparently a woman of a certain age, even though I'm finding it hard to get my head around that, but that's another story for another day. And I'm getting to a stage in my life where I've got like a lot of young people around me, and it's not even young people, it's just people that I love and adore and connect with. And one of the things that people have always said about me, which I resisted for a long time, was, I suppose, my ability to be able to speak up, I think. And, when people say, your ability to be able to speak up and you're a Black woman, sometimes you think, hey, like, where are we going with this, please? Because, we are consistently vulnerable to the characterization that we're aggressive and all them kind of things. So, like, where are you going with this, friend? And one of the things that I had to kind of talk myself through in order to kind of reconcile what it is that I do, and how I do articulate myself, particularly when I'm in work situations, is to define the difference between assertiveness and rudeness. Now, the way that I categorize it is being assertive is being clear, being unemotional, being factual, not assigning blame, and just, sticking to the facts at hand, not going off on a tangent or anything like that. What I think is rudeness, though, is if you're effing and blinding at me, if you're body language because you're getting up in my face, if you're switching your neck, because even as I'm saying it to you, my neck is like, I'm giving myself like whiplash right here. If I'm trying to tell you about yourself and I'm trying to win, that is rudeness. And I think it's something that whole thought process that I'd even had for a good chunk of my adult life, I think it really did a disservice. I've been in work situations, for example, where I've had my manager scream at me in an open plan office because I made the decision to remove a dead link on the website so that we wouldn't have customers go to nowhere. And she deemed that appropriate behavior. Now, there was a whole set of circumstances in terms of, at the time I was just discovering who I was again after having my first child. I was still kind of finding my confidence in my role as a marketeer, that kind of thing. And, I was a lot younger then as well. So she's lucky that she was doing it to that Juanita and not this Juanita, because it would have ended very differently for her. But I think, again, coming from a traditional African background where it's like, elders are to be respected, hierarchies to be expected, those things have ultimately led to things being a detriment for us. Because you're like, okay, we're in a work environment, got to respect who it is that I'm speaking to. But yeah, ultimately what I'm trying to say is that actually having those clear definitions at the time and understanding that it is okay to advocate for yourself would have led to very different outcomes for a lot of scenarios for me as I grew into a person, a woman, that kind of thing. So I think what I try to make sure now as I navigate the world, as, you know, people entrust me with the opportunity to be able to counsel and be of support to them and that kind of thing, is that I want them to be able to understand the difference between the two, because I think advocacy, particularly as a Black woman, in any environment is so important. So yeah, I hope that, I don't know what it's like for you. You know, even my peers, sometimes I have to say to them, you know, asking, for example, for what you want isn't rude or, you know, inappropriate, you know, that it is really important to put yourself and your needs and your wants first. So I say all that to say, I just wonder how you feel about the difference between rudeness and assertiveness, you know, and how you've developed that muscle, if you've ever developed that muscle in the workplace. And I just want to say as well that, you know, it's not to say that if it's something that you don't necessarily do, that means that there's something wrong or bad or whatever. That's not the point of it. But I just think that people, my hope is that people are empowered to be able to articulate what their needs are. And that doesn't mean disrespect. That doesn't mean you have to raise your voice. That doesn't mean it has to be an argument. But I think it's also really important to make sure that when it's necessary, the confidence is there to be able to do it. So let me know what you think. All the contact details will be in the description and in the show. You know, leave me a comment, send me a voice note, whatever. And yeah, until the next voice note.